Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball might be the top two prospects in this year's draft. However, neither of them will go number one.
The coronavirus, location troubles, no fans. It's actually the players that are going to push the MLB season back even further.
And Adam Silver might say we need 2 to 4 weeks to make a decision. No, 2 to 4 weeks until the NBA is back.
Oh, it's Late Night Peel. I'm bored. Let's go. Good evening, everyone. It is Friday, May 15th, 2020, and you are back here on the Late Night Peel. I'm Trey Redfield, and we got the usual Eli Lesser, Cam Azir, and Nick Salaya. You can see all four of us now because, this time around I'm recording on like the quarter thing that Zoom gets to offer and not just one person. And it's just a little odd, right? You see Nick's face and then but Eli's talking, right? Nick, that has to be a little odd, doesn't it?
Everyone gets to enjoy the whole beauty of all four of us.
I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But hey, it was a pretty good week in sports. I'd have to go with not as good as the week before, but hey, we're here for it, and we're going to discuss it no matter how many people view this. The top story, I believe, is that Arizona, the state of Arizona, has come out and said, look, we're going to come back and play some sports. And there won't be any fans, but we're going to come back and play some sports. I believe this was on Wednesday that the governor of Arizona said that they are like any sports out of Major League Baseball, the NFL, NBA, and the NHL, which the state of Arizona holds all four teams, are allowed to play starting this Saturday. But it will be without fans. So I wanted to ask you guys, knowing that none of us live in Arizona, how will other states react, you believe? Anyway.
I got you. I'll start because, I feel like me and Eli can really bounce off of each other here. Being in California, in a state where it's really hot, I know they say that the coronavirus is really affected by the heat, and in a place that the restrictions are really starting to get loosened. I think that a state like California or like Nevada or Texas, states like those will start to look at what Arizona is doing and maybe loosen their measures even further. But at the same time, once other states start loosening their measures, I feel like people in states that the restrictions are still there, they start getting antsy. They start asking, why aren't my government officials not doing the same? Even if the coronavirus is a little worse, or even if it's not, I feel like people get all antsy and they just want to reopen right away. I like what Arizona is doing because they're kind of setting like the memo of what the United States is probably going to transition into in the upcoming weeks and months. But at the same time, I just feel like this is going to drive a couple people into a frenzy. And then I think states might start to reopen faster, which isn't maybe the best thing possible right now. So I think other states and people will react almost in a negative way, but hopefully states still keep their ground. And in the next couple of weeks, we can all get back to normal, or at least try to loosen the restrictions even further.
That's true. And knowing that Eli, I dropped my pen, not going to pick it back up. Knowing that Los Angeles just dropped a huge stay-at-home order, I believe. Eli, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like about another 3 months, apparently. What do you think this means for teams, especially like the Lakers and the Clippers, who are fighting for that top seed in the Western Conference?
They got to move the season elsewhere. I think the players have come to an agreement, which we'll talk about later, where that the season just has to continue and it has to happen. A lot of work has been put into this season, not just from the LA teams, but from all 30 teams. And we talked about it last week. This is a power shifting year in the NBA. This is a very crucial year. LeBron is still the king of the NBA, which, I don't want to talk about very much. But what he says goes. He has a few good years left in him. And we don't know how much longer we're going to have him, and he does not want to lose a potential title run, even though he won't win it anyways.
Burning take. That is a burning take.
But either way, about the California thing, I don't see sports opening up anytime soon. I think California is probably going to be the last state to open up, just because we've been very, 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 very cautious about the coronavirus. And yeah, it sucks that we're going to be we're going to have stay-at-home orders through July, but in Los Angeles. But it is what it is. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I mean, is it really worth it in the end if a bunch more people are going to die than how many would have?
Right. So now I want to take it over to Nick, who his state has 0 professional teams, other than the Connecticut Sun. There is that. But, Nick is close to New York City. Nick, I got to ask you, you were someone that was going to go to the A-10 tournament back in March. Wasn't able to do that, obviously. What do you think? What do you think New York, the way New York is going to react? What's that going to be?
I honestly think that New York's heading in the right direction. Our boy, shout out to Ricky, he just reported that Central New York is opening up tomorrow.
Oh yeah, baby!
That is a step in the right direction. And Connecticut's opening Wednesday. I'm not sure about the exact dates for other surrounding states, but I know this area is opening up because things are getting a lot better. So I think a place like New York City, maybe another month, as long as it heads in the right direction, things can open up. The sports teams can start playing again, such as the Knicks and the Nets, and if the NFL happens, the Rangers and Islanders. So I think the Northeast is in good hands right now. It's a lot different than what's going on in the Southwest. And another thing is that now that we're getting closer to summer, Cameron mentioned that the heat affects the coronavirus. So it gets pretty warm in the Northeast. So I think the coronavirus, people are saying that the heat gets rid of the virus, right?
Yeah. It's actually just something with the virus where if it's hotter, then it's better. Yeah.
So I think with going into the summer, the Northeast tends to get very hot in the summertime, get very humid. So I think everything's heading in the right direction when it comes to New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, states like them.
And moving into the Southeast, with me being from North Carolina, it started to get very hot once again down here. And I think the one thing that really stands out is the ultraviolet rays and the heat. You have both of those, it's going to be fine. And I think knowing that we're heading into almost the summer, I mean, we are all on summer vacation now, but knowing that it's almost technically summertime, it's almost Memorial Day weekend, we're getting to that point where it's starting to get really hot and like people are starting to go out and stuff, which is fine. That's that's totally okay. Knowing that it's very hot and like I said, it's all those ultraviolet rays. We're not scientists. This is sports. We all know that from episode 1, the first ever episode. But when you have those two variables put together and they're all across the United States, everything is going to be fine. So I think what Arizona is doing is great. It's perfect. And knowing that all their stadiums are played in a dome, I think they should be fine. And one thing that I'd like to point out, my last thing, is that the way the UFC did it is by testing every single person involved in their fight weekend down in Jacksonville. And yes, there may have been one person that tested positive. It happens, but everyone else did not. And who knows? Something like that could happen again. We'll see, but I believe Arizona is doing the right thing, and a lot of other states are going to follow here sooner than
it will. It will be a lot more difficult though, because the UFC, I don't know, they didn't have to test as many players as the MLB will have to.
That's true. That is true.
It's going to be a lot more difficult, and these leagues have to be a lot more cautious going into this. But if they take the right steps, they test the players that have symptoms, and the coach seems clear, then they can go through with playing these games in the safe areas.
All I know is that I'd rather have Dana White leading all 4 of the major sports leagues instead of, what's his name, Rob Manfred, Adam Silver, Roger Goodell, or Gary Bettman. I don't care who it is. I'd rather have Dana White running the show.
I mean, if a guy's buying islands, I mean, sure, why not?
I mean, why not? Why not? His company's worth $4 billion. But yeah, let's get into the MLB, which is obviously a multi-billion-dollar league, and there's a lot of money being lost with Major League Baseball, and some of that, and with the loss of money, it may include pay cuts. And there's someone that has spoken out about it who is a former AL Cy Young winner, Rays pitcher Blake Snell, who's on Twitch, big-time gamer, totally respect him, huge for society. You know, he went out and said that he will not play for the Tampa Bay Rays this season if his pay is reduced for an 82-game season. Now, I don't want to say my point yet to the end, because I've really eyed something that stood out to me with the Tampa Bay Rays and money. But I want to get into you guys first. What would you guys do if You would not play. Like, just what would you do? Literally, what would you do? I don't even know what I'm asking, to be honest with you.
I will go first on this one, and I'm going to quote the MLB great Mark Teixeira and what he said on the situation. I have the quote here. Continue to cite. I would rather make pennies on the dollar and give hope to people and play baseball than not make anything and lose an entire year off their career. And I honestly agree with him. I don't think players should, especially in the MLB, should really be worrying about a pay cut. I mean, there's other leagues where players are making far worse. Cough MLS. Either way, you got to play.
Not wrong.
They're making money either way. And also think about the millions of people across the U.S. who are fighting right now just to make a little bit of money, maybe like 0.5% of what an MLB player makes. And
You're the only people that are making money in this country.
Yeah, and you got to put that in perspective into this whole situation. Yeah, Blake Snell, it's unfortunate that you might get a big pay cut, and athletes across the board might get a big pay cut, but at least they're still going to be making more than most Americans with a pay cut either way. And they need to accept that. And I think it's pretty terrifying to lose a year off your career. I mean, that is a resume builder. That is what could get you to that next contract. So play through it, man.
I like that.
It kind of pisses me off that someone like Blake Snell would say that. I don't really get pissed off at a MLB player complaining about having to quarantine in Arizona and that whole process without, because his family, all that stuff. I think Adam Jones made that point. I don't worry about that, but I'm going to read out in broad terms what the MLB, what they did to change their format and layout to adjust to this coronavirus. 50-50 split in revenue. Guess what, Blake Snell? You're making your money. 82-game schedule. You're probably the number one pitcher for the Rays. You're going to get your reps. Mid-June spring training. More baseball. It's just you get to play baseball. A 14-team postseason rather than 10. Better chance to win a World Series. And guess what? You're going to be on that playoff roster. Games played in home stadiums were allowed. Tampa is where? It's in Florida. Florida's actually doing very well right now. Tampa Bay could be, or not Tampa. Tampa could be a great spot to host games. Designated hitters and all that. I mean, that has nothing to do with pitchers. And then expanded roster. Guess what, Blake Snell? You're making the roster anyway.
Sure.
There's no minor league baseball. I mean, there might be AAA, but I don't know if there's going to be minor league baseball this year because the focus is the MLB. Right. So Blake Snell, stop whining. You're going to make the roster. You're one of the top players on your team. I understand what you all are saying about there's a lot of people, and Eli, you mentioned with the MLS, there's a lot of other sports that they're taking pay cuts, they're making less money, but you have to think about it in the sense that an MLB player can only compare themselves to an MLB player. These guys are rare talents. So if you look at the other MLB players, there's a lot of guys getting cut because they don't make that mini roster, the 20-man taxi squad. Like, you know what I mean? So I think Blake Snell, he just has to worry about himself and worry about his baseball career. Worrying about money at this point, I'm sorry, Blake Snell. There's a lot of guys in the minors and even the guys that just squeak into the majors that aren't going to make any money at all, and they're in the same position as you are.
Yeah, and knowing that Tropicana Field will be a great place to play some no-fan baseball. There are already no fans in that stadium. Nick, the Mets are destined to have a pretty good season this year. What would your reaction be if someone like, I don't know, Jacob deGrom would say something like this?
Well, going back to Blake Snell real quick, he's making – if his contract got cut in half for this season, he'd still be making just under $4 million on the season. So I think it's just an overreaction by him, and this is a tough word to use, but he's just being selfish at this point. He's the star pitcher on a team that has had success recently, I've got to say.
Yeah. And
they have a lot of high hopes going into the season too. So I'd have to say just go into the year, you're making $4 million. That's more than, as Cam and Eli were saying, a majority of MLB players, because MLB guys aren't signing big contracts. He signed a 5-year, $50 million contract a few years ago, and his salary is only going to be going up from here.
Right.
So he's just got to be optimistic at this point and just realize I'm making a good amount of money. Got to think about myself. Don't worry about what the MLB will deal with everything else.
Right.
And with the Mets, I'd be kind of pissed at whoever it was. I mean, Jacob deGrom, I think it's a little different because I don't know how much Jacob deGrom's making.
He's got to make a good amount.
Yeah, he's probably making a good amount, but I'd be annoyed because if I have a player that's going to this happens in the NFL a lot. If I had a pitcher that was going to sit out, say this happened because he was unhappy with how much money he was making,
Snip.
It's a big game changer. Like, that's putting Marcus Stroman at your number one in the pitching rotation over the back-to-back Cy Young winner, Jacob deGrom.
Right.
That hurts your team tremendously. DeGrom's making $7 million this year?
Yes.
Well, guys, can I ask a math question just to all of you?
Yeah.
What's 162 divided by 2?
81.
81. Guess how many games they played this season?
82.
82. All that is changing is if you cut the amount of games in half, no offense to MLB players, they might think they're getting paid as a season, but they're really getting paid per game. It's almost like if you sign a contract for any job or anything, you might get your paycheck weekly. You might get your paycheck monthly.
Bi-weekly too.
It's just the difference of, you're playing 3 months instead of 6. Like, I don't understand why Blake Snell's worrying about money when if they were playing 162 games and playing the same amount of time and they were losing half their revenue, maybe this is an argument. But you're losing half your games. And now you're arguing that you deserve the money that you'd be, pitchers, how many games do they start in a season? If you're a star pitcher, above 20, right?
At least.
Exactly.
At least
so now I want to cut that in half and make it about 10. And you're telling me that you would deserve the same amount of money if you pitch 20 games and if you pitch 10? Makes no sense.
That's true. And, I mean, knowing that Blake Snell, he's due for a big payday. I mean, last year he only got paid $1.6 million. This year he's getting that $7 million. But he has a point. But at the same time, you play for the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays is one of the poorest organizations in baseball. I've seen it. I've seen these players show up in Durham, North Carolina to play AAA ball. I've seen Blake Snell pitch. So what? He was as humble as he was. And now he's going up here talking. I mean, he deserves to talk, but his point is so stupid. Knowing he's going to make $3.5 million this year, he's still in the top 10 for the Rays payroll. And knowing how well Tampa Bay has been, especially last season, they made the playoffs last year, pardon me, after the season before, winning 89 games, still finishing in third place in the AL East, the best division in baseball, in my opinion. We can get to that in maybe next episode. I don't even know. But if you're making $3.5 million on the Tampa Bay Rays, I am blessed. I am thankful. And if someone ever, I don't care who it is, if someone ever said, "Ooh, I hate that my pay is gonna be cut in half, and I play for the Boston Red Sox," I would tell you to get the hell out. The Red Sox are the biggest payroll in baseball. If someone ever said that, snip. It's the Bill Belichick mentality. If you ask for more money, get the hell out. That's all I got. I mean, I just want to see baseball be played. I don't care if it's 162, 82 games. Look, it's like the NBA and NHL. It's lit. So what? That's all I got. I go on a quick rampage and I stop.
Money changes players.
It does. It literally does.
Like, what about the love of the game?
Exactly.
And those veterans on the Rays need to, I don't care, text, Zoom, get in contact with Blake Snell and tell him, dude, man up, grow up, be mature.
Yeah.
You're very important on this team. We can't affect to lose you because you're not making a few $1 million that you should be.
Let's give Blake Snell just a little break before we move on to NFL training. Let's just give him a little break because LeBron, right when the NBA took a nosedive, said, "I'm not playing if fans aren't here." And then you start understanding you're about to lose a season, and LeBron's like, "Okay, I'm going to do what's right for everyone." I think give Blake Snell a little. He was on a Twitch stream. You know what I mean? I feel like we take these
gamers get pissed off. Let's be real.
I just give him about a week and a half or 2 weeks. I feel like he'll have a different mentality when Rob Manfred says, hey, if we implement all these things, baseball is being played in 3 weeks.
We saw what happened with Rudy Gobert on Twitch, so we don't want the same issue happening with other future athletes.
Yeah, I'm just glad Charlie Morton's not saying anything. He's the starting pitcher for the Rays, makes $15 million. So, well, I don't know why the Rays are paying that man, but I'm not the GM. I'm a co-host on a late night deal. That's what I'm thankful for. Yeah. So let's get into the NFL now. There was something that just broke. On Thursday night it broke. DeAndre Baker, who is a first-round pick, I believe, in last year's draft, 30th overall with the Giants, and a guy named Quentin Dunbar, who's been a pretty good cornerback for the Redskins recently, newly acquired on the Seahawks. They're in some deep trouble. I mean, there have been warrants issued for an armed robbery accusation for both these defensive backs. I don't know about you guys, but I keep seeing all these stories about, like, DBs being screwed across the league. Can y'all give me some thought? Because I'm not really impressed.
I got you here.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, they'd be out of the league.
Wow.
But my prediction.
Crazy. You're freaking crazy.
My prediction for this is armed robbery. This isn't just like stealing a bank. This is like guns.
This isn't smoking weed. That is true.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, I'm thinking NFL logic here. They're going to get a 1-game suspension, but someone who would have smoked weed would get like a whole season off. But I think they changed that.
Either way, thank God they did. Thank the Lord they did.
Stuff like this pisses me off. It's part of the reason why I've never been into the NFL. I don't like a lot of the stories that come from it, a lot of the athletes that come from it, and their backgrounds. I wish there were more humble guys out there, nicer guys. I don't know. I'm not going to blame them for anything, I guess, but
Eli, it's called CTE.
CTE. I mean, yeah, that's what it is. But no, I think they should be kicked. But what do I know?
Not removed, kicked.
No, I think that this is an issue that the NFL, it's starting to become trivial. NFL players getting into this kind of trouble, and it's upsetting because you don't see it as much around other major sports. And yes, you can say it's CTE. Yes, you could say their background, whatever it is. But I just think it's something that the NFL, maybe it's not a harsh punishment, but they have to address it. Like, there has to be one thing, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be levels. The NFL can't just, keep trying to punish these players and say, oh God, what do we do? What do we do? You know what I mean? There has to be levels, because I feel like whatever the NFL does, they're in trouble with the fans.
Right.
It's a light punishment. People are like, it's armed robbery. It's too harsh of a punishment. It's like, really, let's relate it back to Ray Riot. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that the NFL needs levels, and they need some kind of guidelines, because it's starting to become so trivial. We're starting to get these updates. An NFL player does this. NFL player does that. Like, you got to stop blaming it on CTE or certain things, even though it might be that. Let's just address it as it is. It's an armed robbery. How do you punish that in the NFL? And then you do it, and you have to have guidelines for it. Right? I think the NFL is too all over the place with all this stuff, and it's getting to the point where this is happening too much. Come on, NFL, set some guidelines.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the NFL just needs to get onto a piece of paper what a punishment, suspension, whatever the deal is, whatever the consequence is from whatever actions these player makes. And also part of it might be is that these players, they're just aggressive people. And when you come from a football background, you have the mentality that, oh, I'm a football player. I'm bigger than you. I'm tougher than you. I can do what I want. The rules don't apply to me. And you look at, I'm going to stereotype high school football players a little bit.
Go ahead.
They think they're the big shots of the school. They walk around thinking that they can skip class, do whatever they want, don't do their work, have people do their homework for them, and it just carries on to college and then to the NFL. And it just, football players think they can do whatever they want and not get punished for it. And the NFL needs to realize that it's not just football. Like, these are problems going on in the world that need to be fixed, and they need a solution. They need a consequence. And until then, the NFL is going to continue to be criticized for all these actions that these players are doing.
That's true. And hey, who knows? Who even knows if anything happens from this? Maybe they get freed, something like that. All the possibilities are on the table, and I think the NFL's just got to wait on that. But something that really stood out to me a couple days ago, boys. What if I told you the Cleveland Browns acquired Russell Wilson for the number 1 overall pick back in 2018? That ended up being Baker Mayfield. Would you believe me?
I'd believe you if they went 7-9 again, but
okay. Exactly. I mean, I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm cool with the Browns sucking, but yeah, it almost happened. Russell Wilson was almost traded to the Cleveland Browns for the number 1 overall pick back in 2018. So this had us thinking a little bit. Why don't we kick it back to 2 years ago and have myself and Cam redraft the top 10 of that 2018 class? Cam, you got something cooking, I hear. Would you like to do the honors going first?
I have a question.
Go right ahead, Eli.
This draft, if the Seahawks had the number 1 pick?
No, we're going to stick with the Browns having the number 1 pick. We're going to stick with the Browns having that number 1 pick. What's up, Nick?
Can I edit Mel Kiper and Todd McShay's face on you guys after?
If you really want to.
Can I be Mel Kiper? No.
Yeah,
I call Todd McShay. I call Todd McShay. He wants to.
Fair. So, Trey, you got Corona, and Cam, you just got to talk as fast as you can.
Yes! All right, Cam, what you got? Let's go. You want to go from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
10 to 1. Okay, guys, we're gonna start with this. Let's go. Come on, let's go. You gotta talk really fast and move around like this, really big. We're gonna go with Quentin Nelson at the number. No, we're just. I'm gonna start with an honorable mention because I think throwing a couple people out of the top. I feel like 2018 was a really strong draft class. If you go into the second, third, fourth rounds and you don't really realize who is still up on the board, because the first round it was just so anticipated. Where's Baker going? Where's Josh Allen going? Where's Josh Rosen going? Where's Sam Darnold going? It's just so much anticipation. I feel like the second round was very overlooked. So I'm going to start with an honorable mention, Sony Michel. I mean, he spearheaded the touchdown running game for the Patriots in that Super Bowl win. He 2 900-yard seasons, 6 touchdowns in his first, 7 touchdowns in his second. I mean, you can't ask for anything more for a red zone guy than to get in the end zone and pick up first downs. So he's my honorable mention. He didn't make my top 10. Now, before I start, I'm going to say that I picked these based off also what the teams need, in my opinion, or needed back then. But I'm not just going to throw out who the best guys are. Number 10, Quentin Nelson. I'm not a huge offensive line guy in the top 10. I feel like, yes, they can help, but I feel like a lot of those teams in the top 10 need a better quarterback, need a better running back, need a guy that you can throw the ball to, a guy that can protect their secondary, even a guy that can rush the quarterback. And you're throwing, I don't want to say throwing away, but it's like the Giants this year. They needed an offensive lineman. I completely understand that. But you're telling me they could have got a better wide receiver for Daniel Jones and then just waited for offensive linemen. Yes, there's levels to offensive linemen. There's really good ones and okay ones, but at the same time, you train them right, and they can protect anyone. So I have Quentin Nelson at number 10 because I looked at the Arizona Cardinals back in 2017. They had 4 QBs during that season, and they got sacked a combined 52 times. That's not good. They ended up picking Josh Rosen, which wasn't – I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I mean, right now it's looking like a bad pick. But I didn't really like Josh Rosen. I think Quentin Nelson, if he dropped that far, which he didn't in the actual draft, he'd be number 10. Number 9, Derwin James, my boy, for the Chargers. I mean, I don't know how he fell so far. I understand that he is a cornerback and he wasn't one of the top cornerbacks like Minkah Fitzpatrick. But you look at his stats. It was tough for this past year because he got injured, but his first year probably should have won Rookie of the Year. Darius Leonard, another guy that's actually I redrafted in my top 10, is in that spot as well. At number – what are we at? We're at number 8 now is is Nick's guy, Cortland Sutton. 700 receiving yards in his first year, and then went ballistic for 1,100 in the second with 6 touchdowns. Pretty much revived that Broncos wide receiver position, because ever since Peyton Manning was there and won them that Super Bowl, or really the defense did, they haven't. I mean, it was Demaryius Thomas, and that's been their rock. And obviously, he's not there anymore, right? He's done. Nope. Yeah.
I don't know where he is.
Who?
Demaryius.
He went to the Cowboys.
Demaryius Thomas went to the Jets. He went to the Jets because remember he got cut. He got cut by the Texans, and then New England picked him up, and everyone thought New England's going to be so great. And then they trade the downfall of all this was that they traded Demaryius Thomas to the Jets for that 7th round pick.
Okay, well, let's just say Cortland Sutton. I don't know if people saw him as the one reviving the Broncos offense. Picked as in the 2nd round, the 40th pick. Probably one of the best picks of the draft after last year's performance. I'm going to speed it up from now on because I feel like these are kind of obvious. Minkah Fitzpatrick at number 7. He would only move up 4 spots to Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo, with those fans and that defense with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who had 5 interceptions last year for the Steelers, maybe didn't have the best performance with the Dolphins, but that Dolphins team is dysfunctional. At number 6, I'd put Nick Chubb to the Colts. The Colts have always struggled with running games, and I would know because my fantasy team had Marlon Mack on it. Once he got injured, the Colts went in the running game. So Nick Chubb, 996 yards, 192 carries in 2018. Had 1,400 yards in 2019. Won that rushing title. 8 touchdowns in both seasons. I mean, the Browns got a great steal at number 35. At number 5, Bradley Chubb stays where he goes. I mean, him in Denver is scary. He had 12 sacks in that 2018 season. We all knew he was going to be a beast. Came out of Georgia, I think. Yeah.
No, NC State.
He was NC State. I'm thinking of
NC State.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter. He was dominant. We knew he'd be dominant. He'd stay with Denver. At number 4 is the guy that actually won Rookie of the Year, Darius Leonard. I mean, 7 sacks in his first season, 5 sacks in the second. Won that Rookie of the Year, as I mentioned before. He got picked 36th. That's the steal of the draft. I mentioned Cortland Sutton, but, I mean, if Cleveland could have gotten him, that at the linebacker position with those wide receivers, if they got the guy that I think they should have taken at number 1, even though we wouldn't have known because this is a redraft. Okay, that was number 4 for me. Number 3, I'm going with Josh Allen. Don't criticize me. The Jets needed a quarterback. I didn't know if Josh Allen would be good, but they need a quarterback. The Jets were they were filtering out guys that were 35 years old, and it wasn't really working for them.
Petty was the guy before Sam.
Had a great season last year. If it wasn't for the Patriots, I think the Bills would have gone further than. And obviously they blew it against the Texans, but that's besides the point. Number 2, Saquon Barkley still going there. Dude's insane. He's probably the second best running back behind Christian McCaffrey, but true running back, I would probably put him at number 1. The issue is he's a part of an organization that doesn't want to use him. That's just kind of like the New York motto with Le'Veon Bell and Saquon Barkley in New York. And number 1, can't be surprised, it's going to be me and Trey's number 1, Lamar Jackson. Cleveland needed a quarterback. Dude was the MVP last season. That's my redraft top 10.
I like that. Hey, I like that. Now, so you had a good idea of that honorable mention, which is basically my 11th pick, and my honorable mention is going to be Josh Allen. You brought up that point on how you wanted to redraft like what the teams needed. And knowing that Josh Allen didn't have the best rookie season, but last year after he got the sense knocked out of him after that first Patriots game in week 4, he popped off ever since, and which makes me give him some sort of mention. And he would have gone to Miami. It would have been fine at quarterback. They would not have had to have traded for Josh Rosen for a 2nd-round pick. Horrible idea. But yeah, I got Josh Allen as my honorable mention. Big fantasy fan of him. Number 10 is the Cardinals, and I chose to go with Sony Michel. Sony's basically the backbone of that New England running game. Yes, you can make an argument about James White, but James White's more of that receiving running back, more of that Kevin Falk that kids these days don't really know about as Patriot fans. Sony Michel won a Super Bowl. He, like Cam said, he's had 2 consecutive 900-yard seasons. He's consistent. He's a consistent guy, and I think he earns some mention in this top 10. And followed by that is his college teammate Nick Chubb. I have him going to San Francisco. I think Chubb has really popped off, and it's unfortunate that he got drafted in the second round. Good enough for Cleveland to have a great draft like that, but still, I mean, in both of his seasons, he almost rushed for 1,000 yards. In 2018, he was 4 yards short. Both had 8 touchdowns in both of those seasons. I think the only flaw with him is that he needs to be more of a receiving back. He hasn't really caught the ball that much. He has a little bit less than 500 receiving yards. But yeah, I mean, I like Chubb at San Francisco. Nothing really big there in the running game. There's just a lot of running backs. Nick Chubb really would have been the guy next to Jimmy Garoppolo. At number 8, I got Bradley Chubb, his cousin, who went to NC State. We cleared that up. Bradley Chubb's an animal. Let's be real. And I know Chicago normally they stayed with Roquan Smith. There goes Eli. He's running away. But I like Bradley Chubb there because Cam, you brought up a great point with how many sacks he had. What was it, 12 in his first season? Yes, 12 in his first season, and then comes back this 2019, tears his ACL. Really unfortunate, but knowing how much of an animal he is, and when I think of Bradley Chubb, I think of how amazing and how elusive he was compared to Mario Williams, who also went to NC State. Pretty ironic there. But number 7 is going to be Cortland Sutton with the I think I have him at number 7 with the Bills. I don't think Josh Allen's good enough to go 7. I just really like how Sutton played last year, knowing he was on my fantasy team. Nick knows I drafted him in like the 13th round, and he popped off for me, so that's always a good thing. But yeah, knowing that Sutton is going to thrive next year and with a great quarterback, Buffalo really would have missed that. It didn't really matter who the quarterback would be. Number 6, I have Minkah Fitzpatrick. The Colts have always needed help at safety. I know they needed offensive line help. They normally drafted Quentin Nelson that year, but they've never really had a prime safety. Mike Adams, he's all right and all, but the Colts have really thrived in the cornerback position, especially with Vontae Davis. So I think Minkah would have been a great fit there in Indy. Number 5, I have Darius Leonard, who went to SC State, not NC State, South Carolina State. Leonard had a great season, won Rookie of the Year in 2018. If he goes to Denver, it's the same idea with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. What it reminds me of is when DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller were teamed up and they won Super Bowl 50 together. That's the same. That's the picture that's in my brain when I think of Darius Leonard and Von Miller. Number 4, I stay put at Derwin James. No, I do not. No, pardon me. That was totally off. Derwin James is my 4th guy. He's the safety out of, I believe, Ohio State. No, Florida State. And so, yeah, Derwin James, originally drafted by the Chargers. I think James would have really popped off in Cleveland. Plain and simple, he's been great in to LA, obviously, technically LA. I believe he was first and second team All Pro. Last year he was second team All Pro. From the Associated Press, but yeah, a huge Derwin James fan. I know Cam is as well. Eli is obviously too, big Chargers guy. Number 3, Cam, I didn't like your take on offensive linemen this early. I love Quentin Nelson with the Jets. He has not missed a game all season. I think of him as Joe Thomas, but he plays to the right a little bit. He's a left guard for the Colts, but the Jets originally drafted Sam Darnold. Look, maybe New York just needed more protection. They haven't had as good a guy. They haven't had a great guy at O-line since DeBrickashaw Ferguson. This would have been the guy. He has not missed a game. 2-time first-team AP All-Pro. And when I watch him, he absolutely pancakes people. That's all you need, right? That's all you need. And number 2, you obviously go with Saquon Barkley. Over 2,000 rushing yards already. He has 17 touchdowns. And he has 1,000-plus receiving yards as well. That's pretty dang good. And number 1, we all know, Cam spoiled it. You little turd, Lamar Jackson. Why not? Why not? I'm not even going to explain. He won the MVP. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. But yeah, that was long, but it was good content, so I'll allow it. Let's now get into the NBA. So Nick was pretty excited about this, knowing that there are a lot of players on a fat phone call. He would have been really excited to be on it, but he's not. It's unfortunate, but he's not.
I would have felt a little off, but
yeah. And who explain what kinds of players were on this phone call? Anyone can have this, because I bet y'all are so excited.
LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard.
Wasn't CP3 on that call too?
Yeah,
Chris Paul. Yes, Chris Paul. He is the president of the Players Association. So
right.
What?
I'm waiting for you to say him.
Which one? Which
Kawhi.
one? I can stand. Kawhi. Kawhi was on it.
Yes,
Eli. He probably didn't say a thing.
He was there.
I'm going playing
Even there.
Who else was there?
I think that's really all you need.
There was a lot of big name guys. There was a lot of big names. That's the point, is that these guys want to play basketball as much as we want to see them play basketball. I love this by the players, especially because I feel like a lot of sports, the players are really not uniting. There's nothing against those people, but like the MLB, like I mentioned in my hot take, I feel like they're going to be pushed back because of the players. You have like the NFL, where the players aren't really worrying about it. And then there's like other sports like the NHL. I haven't seen any NHL players getting together. Eli, you can attest to this. I don't know about the MLS. I feel like the NBA is the one sport where it's not just the league trying to get their stuff together, but the players are really uniting and trying to get play back in session.
Right. And along with that, I wanted to add the other variable that, according to Adam Silver, there's going to be a decision on this season within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Now, I'm just going to say it now. This decision is going to come at the very end of those 4 weeks, because it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of thought, a lot of studies, and just a lot of ideas from other people that are not associated with the NBA and associated with what's more important. So, I got to ask you guys, what are we expecting? What's going to happen? You guys are huge NBA gurus. Unfortunate that 2 of them are for the Lakers, but what are we going to see?
We will see basketball back very soon, and as soon as possible, because
this is the most optimistic person on the late night peel. I'm a close second, but right now it is the 5'7" Knicks alive. That's all I got to say.
It is because practice facilities are opening. Some are already open. And
Kevin Love talked about it.
More opening very soon. As we were talking about earlier with the coronavirus rates and hospitalizations, it's all going down. And the NBA's got to realize, I mean, when you think about it, 2 weeks is 14 days. That's a long time. If those Adam Silver, I don't know what Adam Silver's doing with his life right now, if he's being productive or if he's just sitting.
He's getting a haircut
with his alien friend.
He's getting a haircut.
Yeah.
He's getting a haircut, yeah.
Oh, facts.
When you think about it, the NBA, it should be back relatively soon, in my opinion. Everything's going right. The players obviously want to come back. And yes, there's going to be no fans, and that's perfectly fine. But the people that watch basketball, they don't care about that. They want to see basketball. And I think the NBA will see how excited these players are, how excited the fans are to watch. And they'll just want to bring the game back as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it being no fans, because knowing what happened with the UFC, like being mic'd up, be like, oh, sorry, man, it's a part of the job. Like, if I hear something like that in an NBA basketball game, I will die. Like Comedy Central should plead a point to have games on their channel, because that would be freaking hilarious.
They would need to make it end for mature, but yes.
Yes, but Cam, Eli, your thoughts?
Cam, you could go first.
Go for it, Eli?
Oh,
okay, got you.
That was so awkward.
I got you. I'll take this one. I'll take this one very, very quick. It's going to take the full 4 weeks. I mean, I want to say that it will take 2 weeks, but I think the longer, the better, because it's just about trying to figure out everything. It's not just how are we going to get these players back on the court. It's TV. It's where are you going to put the broadcasters at home? Are you going to filter in noise with fans?
I hope they don't bring them at home. Oh my God.
It's about figuring out the entire rest of the season rather than saying, okay, let's throw 2 teams in the gym. So my opinion is it's going to take at least. I hope that they start tomorrow. But I also
say that
hope
part again.
sports
I
comes
lost
back
you a little bit
tomorrow
there.
as well. So
Yeah, we lost.
I said that. What do I want?
Yeah. Just go through what you want real quick.
I want sports to come back tomorrow, but what I want is not going to happen. And with the NBA, I think you just take your time. I mean, you're not really rushing that much. Take your time, figure out the entire rest of the season, because it's not like you can take a 2-week break to go into the postseason and get that thing going. No, like you don't have do it all in one run.
Their playoff spots on the line too.
Right. Take your time. I think it's going to take at least 4 weeks.
Eli, before you go real quick, Cam, I think the NBA needs to think smarter in this situation because you mentioned there's many logistics that they have to go through in order to get the season going, such as the commentators. But we've already seen with the NFL draft, with the Korean Baseball League, they've been doing it from the studio. They've been doing it from home. So I think if they take that part and just have these guys commentate from their houses or from an ESPN studio, TNT studio, wherever, that can make things go a lot quicker. And the same with TV because ESPN doesn't know what they're putting on their lives. I was watching.
All I see is cornhole. That's all I see.
What the hell was I watching? I was watching
It was Richard Jefferson.
mower racing or something. Like
It's
mower, like mowing the lawn. And I think they have all the they're just putting things out there. But if they get a definite date of when the NBA can be back, they'll be on top of it like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Last dance is saving ESPN. Plain and simple. Eli, what you got?
You know, I got to agree with all y'all, except for the fact that the NBA will come back tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. I'm hoping the decision comes sooner than 4 weeks. It won't. But it, like you guys said, it would be smarter, honestly, to figure something out and use these 4 weeks and really wait till last minute or not wait till last minute to make the decision or to, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm gonna stop here and let's move on.
It's okay. It happens. I bought my first question tonight. It's whatever. Look, this thing's gonna last the entire 4 weeks, and the one thing I hope we all want to be play-by-play broadcasters. It's true. Like we all want to be play-by-play guys. We all want to be Mike Breen. I mean, I'm not wrong, but I just hope. My only hope is that they better not botch it the way they did with the KBO, because I hate listening to Eduardo Perez when I somehow wake up at 7:30 every morning. Carl Ravitch is fine. It's fine. But Eduardo Perez is the Hispanic Booger McFarland. I mean, that sounds horrible to say. I'm sorry. But, like, Eduardo Perez sucks. And if Reggie Miller acts like that when he calls a game, when Jeff Van Gundy, I know he won't, but if he acts like that, I won't be happy. I won't be happy. When I call basketball games, my color guys better be on point when I get to that point. But that's all I got to say. Hopefully Cam's color guys, when he's calling the San Diego League, doesn't piss him off, because then
It's just me. We'll be good.
Okay, that's all I need, because Vin Scully does the same thing. Do I have a problem with it? Not at all. But yeah, let's focus on the future a little bit, like we've been doing, just a little bit more into the future. What's that 10?
Top 10.
Facts. I like that. But
Let's go.
there's a draft coming around, and we got some boys on here that have been going through the mock draft, making their own mock draft, like Nick Eli has done on his Twitter. Eli's analyzed it a lot too. This is going to be an exciting mock draft, and I want Nick and Eli to take us through our top 10 of the NBA draft.
Before we start,
I said NBA. I said NBA. Yeah.
Now we'll both do our picks. We'll be quick with them. But just shout out to Tankathon, who came up with our lottery for tonight. So when you hear what team is picking where, it is due to Tankathon, not us. So
I believe you did like a couple tries just to get the most accurate thing. So I think this one was try 69 or something.
Nice.
That.
It was nice. It was a nice.
You got to get the nice order.
Yeah.
And Nick, you got your mock draft from your Twitter account, right?
I do. If you want to go check that one out, it's got the full 30 picks for the first round. So
Yeah, that's pretty fun at the 2K Zelaya.
That is quality content.
Right. Nick will put it up on Nick.
Zelia's mock draft 1.0.
Yeah. Eli, you take it away. You go first.
All right, so with the first pick, the Golden State Warriors will be taking James Wiseman. We don't know what the Warriors are going to be doing with this pick, but with this draft, I went with the biggest needs for each team. And, yeah, you could play Draymond as a small ball center, but the biggest weakness for the Warriors over the past 5 or so years has been the center spot. Might as well take the best one here.
Oh, you want to go back and forth, Eli?
You do your number one. Who did you take?
I have the same thing. Cam and I have argued about this for a good amount of time, going back and forth with Wiseman, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball. But I think James Wiseman's the smartest pick at number one. You said it. The Warriors, yes, they've been champions for 3 last 5 years, but who the hell have their centers been? No one knows. It's been Zaza.
They did have Wilt. They had Wilt.
Yeah, okay. Back in World War II. Yeah, they had Wilt. Okay.
Rest in peace, Wilt. But I think Wiseman, as such an athletic big man, could be such a good player because the Warriors love to run. They like to get the rebounds and just run up the court. Fast breaks constantly. And Wiseman – what?
Yeah, it's true. They cherry pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It works, though.
It works. I mean,
and I think Wiseman would be the perfect guy because he's working on his passing. He's getting better. He can find Curry and Thompson on the 3-point line.
It's not Memphis, Tennessee, though.
Yep. It's a little different. It's Warriors. It's the Golden State Warriors. So
I mean, he did drop out pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's been doing his own training. But I think he'd be a good pick with the Warriors.
Yeah, worst case scenario here is they draft Wiseman and they trade him in a package for a sign and trade for Giannis.
God, I would.
So the number 2 pick. What do we got?
Eli, Giannis is already going to the Lakers, so we'll talk about that another time.
Giannis keeps saying he wants Warriors. I'm just saying. I don't want it, but
yeah, well, his girlfriend wants the Lakers, so you always listen to the girl.
Detroit boys.
All right, yeah, Detroit. Anthony Edwards, I think he's the best prospect in this draft. I think they need backcourt help, and we don't know where Derrick Rose is going to be next year. Either way, I think he's more of a 2-guard anyways. Anthony Edwards goes to Pistons, just makes sense here.
Yeah, I think he averaged around 30 this season for Georgia. He can shoot, he can drive. He's just the all-around scorer that you want. His defense still needs some work. He's a little bit on the shorter side when it comes to an NBA shooting guard, but overall I think he's one of the best, if not the best, prospect in the entire draft. So I agree, Anthony Edwards, number 2.
Now move it over to Cleveland. What do you guys got?
Yeah, so with the 3rd pick, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking Obi Toppin, a power forward out of Dayton. In terms of their biggest needs, I mean, oh my God, if they draft another point guard, I might have to shoot myself. But
I'm not even a Cavs fan, people.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think Kevin Love will be traded at some point or another. You got to get a younger power forward. I mean, this team is still reloading and rebuilding, so I think they take a power forward here. I think that is one of their biggest needs, so I'm going with Obi Toppin.
I agree that they need a power forward, but instead they're going to get my boy out of Israel, Deni Avdija. Deni! This is a bit of a stretch. Obviously, they're different positions, but he's kind of the Magic Johnson type. They're both 6'9".
Nice.
He's a great passer for his size, and he has the post moves like a big man because he's a power forward. And I think along with him and Drummond in the front court for Cleveland, they already got their backcourt all set for the future, hopefully at least. I think he's a great spot for Cleveland.
I will say, I love the guy. Favorite prospect in the draft is Real Bias here. I view him more as a small forward. That's just my view. But you'll see where I have him.
I mean, they could use a small forward too. Their small forward right now is Cedi Osman.
Oh,
yeah.
So
the foreign duo.
They could put him at the 3 or 4. It wouldn't really matter.
Deni and Cedi.
Let's go back out west, boys. Who are the T-Wolves going to pick up?
LaMelo Ball. He's got to come off the board here. Yes, he will make one of the worst defensive backcourt duos with D'Angelo Russell, but it'll also be one of the best offensive backcourt duos. And doesn't look like the T-Wolves have much defense on the roster, so I don't think they really care about it anyways at this point. So LaMelo Ball, D'Lo, maybe get Devin Booker in the future, probably not. And then, of course, you got Cat. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I have LaMelo at number 4 as well. I think, in my opinion, he's the best player in the draft. He's proven overseas that he can compete at the professional level, even as a 16, 17-year-old, whatever age he was when he first went to is it Slovenia? Yeah. No, Lithuania.
Oh, Lithuania.
But yeah, he can, if he develops the way he should, I think his potential is the ceiling.
The ceiling is the roof.
The ceiling is the roof, yes. And he completes that team. That 1-2 duo would be unstoppable. I mean, they can both play the point guard and shooting guard position. They can change it up. They have Karl Anthony Towns at the center position, and they would just need to get some 3-and-D guys to fill out that roster, some that can play defense, that can shoot, and that team would be set.
Yeah, 2-3 zone, Syracuse basketball. But yeah, let's move into the Southeast. The Atlanta Hawks are picking 5th. Not really surprised by this. They suck. Where are we going with there? Where are we going with this?
You know, it's funny because the Ball brothers might end up not being the best players from Chino Hills on that legendary team, as I have them taking Onyeka Okongwu, who is a power forward center out of USC. Yes, they have John Collins and Clint Capella, but John Collins is going to be a free agent. Yes, he's restricted. And Clint Capella, I think, is a very movable asset, and I think he's going to want to be on a contender. I also don't really see him in the future plans for Atlanta, so I think they're going to continue to get younger and younger at this point because they're really not going anywhere. So I have them taking Okongwu, who I think could come out being an incredible player.
Yeah, so at number 5, I got Obi Toppin going to the Hawks. You had mentioned that he can play the 3 or the 4, and with the Hawks, they have Cam Reddish at the 3. John Collins' future with Atlanta is very questionable at this point. So you stick Obi Toppin in there, and yes, if they want to get rid of Clint Capella and keep John Collins, that's an option too. We're seeing a lot of these NBA teams. I think they'll slowly start growing into the small ball. We've seen the Rockets do it the last month before the season was canceled, and it was working. I mean,
it ain't canceled.
What?
It's suspended. It's not canceled yet.
Postponed. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And the Rockets beat the Lakers with the small ball, so it works. I think there's a lot of options. If you get Obi Toppin, he's very movable when it comes to the small forward or power forward position. I think he's a good fit there.
You know who the Rockets didn't beat with the small ball lineup?
Number 6. No.
But yeah, I want to start with Nick on these last 5 because the number 6 team, Nick and I love to hate on. It's the New York Knicks, and I think he and I believe that they're definitely going to mess this up. So Nick, I want you going first for these last 5. Who you got? Who are the Knicks taking?
I hope they don't mess this one up, but I got the Knicks taking Cole Anthony at the point guard position. The Knicks, they don't know how to draft. I'll just say that straight up.
It's awesome. It's so much fun.
When you think of their recent top point guard draft picks, the first guy that comes to mind for me is Frank Ntilikina. And that just pisses me off thinking about that.
They drafted who? Who the is this?
Bonjour.
So
he's from France.
I really don't know what to do with the Knicks. They have so many open holes that they need to fill. And besides, I'd say the shooting guard, small forward position, R.J. Barrett.
They do not need another power forward.
Yeah. I think they get Cole Anthony. They get a point guard that they can build their team around. He's a very good scorer. We
got to trade.
We all saw it in person. Right? He just blew up Syracuse when they played. And
the first time,
that's right, not the second time. But I think he's past his injuries. He's set for the NBA, and he'll be a top 10 pick.
I'd like to ask something. Dennis Smith is still in the Knicks, correct?
He is.
He is. He needs to go.
Payton.
What?
Yeah. So is Alfred Payton.
Alfred Payton. I think they keep Alfred Payton. They trade DSJ.
None of those guys have really – okay, maybe they've proved themselves a little throughout their NBA career, but if you're a team like the Knicks going forward, you're in one of the biggest markets in America. You can't be trusting Elfrid Payton to be
That's
the future of your New York City team.
right.
So
I was just gonna add something really quick. I think the Knicks need someone like, and the reason I'm okay with that Cole Anthony pick, even though the Knicks have like an abundance of point guards, is the Knicks need someone like a Trae Young because they need to bring up the morale of their team before they start trying to win games. Because right now they're on the down in both departments in morale and just the team in general. They need someone like Trae Young to like hype them up. So I think a Cole Anthony could be it. That's why they wanted Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson wouldn't have won double-digit games for the Knicks, but he would have been that hype that New York desperately needs.
Well, I mean, sorry, Eli, for holding you off for so long. Cole Anthony's that athletic point guard that can excite the crowd and maybe bring some energy. So that's why I think he could be a good pick for them.
Yeah, I have the same pick here. I think it's a perfect match, Cole Anthony. I will say about Dennis Smith Jr., he is the definition of a player who is a year away from being a year away. That's all I'm saying. And number 7, Nick.
So
the usual team, Chicago Bulls.
Yep, the Chicago Bulls. I got them drafting. What?
This would be the 4th year in a row they have the 7th pick.
It would be, and hopefully they don't mess it up. I got the Bulls selecting Isaac Okoro out of Auburn. 6'6", shooting guard, small forward. He can go alongside. I think he's good at the small forward position because they have Zach LaVine and Kobe White already in their backcourt. He's a very good defender. His scoring definitely needs work. He's one of the lower points per game players in the top 20 rankings, so to say. So I think if he can work on his scoring, he can become a more all-around player. But as of right now, he's a very strong defender, and the Bulls need some defense.
I think they definitely need defense, which is ironic because I went with Denny Avdia here. Anyways, with Denny Avdia, so I love this man so much because he's Israeli and I have to. But I'm worried about him. He could either be the next great thing, but one thing that worries about me and him is the fact that the last draft pick to come out of Maccabi Tel Aviv was Dragon Bender.
I don't even know who that is.
That's fair.
And that scares me.
Dragon's been all over the league. I think he's on the Suns.
I
know he's on the Warriors right now.
The 2016 draft, I believe. And that's what scares me about Avdia because I really believe like he could go either way. He could be like a next great thing or he will just be Dragon Bender 2.0.
That's the case with every international player, really. You never know what they're going to be like.
Oh, yeah.
And every once in a while you get one of those Lukas that just take over the league.
Mm-hmm. I won't touch up on anything else, Denny Avdia. I would like to see him play alongside Larry Markkinen, though.
That'd be a solid lineup.
Yes. Now let's go into Charlotte. Eli, I know you had a homage pick here. I want to see if Nick agrees though first. Nick, who is Buzz City picking at number 8?
The Hornets need a center because their center right now is Cody Zeller, and that's problem number 1. So they go with Onyeka Okongwu.
Wow. Okay.
Out of USC. He's just a great big man. He needs to work on his shot a little more to become the modern NBA center. But I think when it comes to a big grit and grind type of guy in the paint, grabbing the rebounds, blocking shots, I think he's perfect. And the Hornets can really build around him and finally get a set-in-stone center on their team.
Eli, you're getting pretty emotional over there, it looks like.
I don't know. I think I might have been calling Onyeka Okongwu Orji Okongwu. I don't know.
Oh, dude.
No, because there's an MLS player named that. Sorry. So I might have been calling him that the whole time. But
no, you were doing it right before when you had him big 4th overall. It's okay.
Okay, that is my fault. Anyway.
Bravo.
I think this guy isn't supposed to be the top 10 pick. And Charlotte Hornets, they obviously need a center. I think they have their backcourt situation handled with Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, whoever they want to throw out there. And they need a pick-and-roll partner. I'm going with Vernon Carey here, who the big man out of Duke, who I saw before my own eyes just demolish my college team. And I left heartbroken. I mean, we were all heartbroken after that game.
Thank God I wasn't there for that game.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, like, that can't decide him being at this pick, but I already had Okongwu taken out now I'm like very paranoid about how I'm pronouncing it. Yeah, Okongwu. I had him taken earlier, so next best big man off the board to me is Carey.
I like that. Now let's go up to the nation's capital. Obviously, they're struggling massively. Bradley Beal popping off, John Wall slipping off steps, hurting himself. Everything's going on in BC. Nick, where do the Wizards go?
They go with Vernon Carey. And what are you looking at me for, Cam?
No, nothing.
Look up who the Wizards have as center right now.
Oh, no, I could – no, okay. Well, Thomas Bryant isn't terrible.
He sounds pretty terrible.
You can't tell me that Vernon Carey, a guy that needs to fix like everything about his game right now to play in the NBA other than his size, is a top 10.
Rui Hachimura is pretty good.
The Wizards just need a solid big man.
What's wrong with Rui?
I was debating between him and Precious.
Okay, then Vernon. Because Precious needs to change. He needs a lot of work, too. So,
it's tough because this is a very guard-heavy class. And the Wizards, I want to give them a guard because at this point, I don't trust John Wall anymore. I need to see.
Really?
No, I don't. No. He's been injured for 2 straight seasons, and there's really no timetable for him coming back.
That's true.
And I think Bradley Beal, this is his team. He deserves to own the stardom in that backcourt. And yes, gentlemen, you can go.
No. Finish off your thought, but then I have to get this.
So I think they need a big man. And Vernon Carey at 6'11", I don't know how much he weighs, like 250 or something like that.
Bigger than all of us combined.
He's a big boy. And the Wizards, they need a big boy to fill with Rui Hachimura in their front court. So I'm going with Vernon Carey for this pick.
So I'm at the Washington Wizards depth chart on ESPN right now. Do you know who their first option at small forward is?
I'd love to know.
Jerome Robinson.
Yeah, no, Jerome Robinson isn't a terrible player, but he's not good.
He was so bad on the Clippers. Like anytime he shot the ball, I was just like, we just wasted possession.
Like me, that's like when I shoot the ball.
You were more of a bucket than Jerome Robinson ever was. I will give you that credit. Robinson was a
burning
lottery pick for us, and their second string is Isaac Bonga. So
Bonga, the Lakers guy.
I got them taking a different Isaac Okoro. I don't need to touch up on him because Nick already talked about him, but that's my 9th overall pick.
I do want to say one quick thing. Cam, Thomas Bryant played for the Lakers, right?
He did, yes.
It was during that stretch where the Lakers just didn't know what they were doing at the center position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got Mozgov.
63 million.
I don't know what else.
I completely forgot about that.
I don't want to talk about those times. A lot of people have Vernon Carey dropping because he didn't have the season a lot of people expected, but I really think he deserves to be a top 10 pick. He was number 2 coming out of this class. High school.
I respect it. I'm not saying anything against it. I don't think Vernon Carey makes an impact on the Hornets or the Wizards, so it doesn't really bother me at all, that pick. But I just think that
come back to make an impact on that.
I just think that Carey and Achua need a lot of help with their game. But
that's fair.
They're in a long process for sure, and a team that's been in a long process is the Phoenix Suns, drafting players out of Arizona, left and right. It seems like, other than Devin Booker, came out of Kentucky. Phoenix Suns are 10th in this draft. Nick, finish us off. Who are they taking?
They're getting another point guard
from Arizona,
Iowa State, Tyrese Halliburton. That's my boy right there, by the way.
All right.
It's my boy Tyrese.
Is he 5'7" too?
What?
Is he 5'7" as well?
Nah, he's 6'5". He's tall. He's tall for the point guard position. He's long. He's a good passer. His only problem is his scoring. At least he doesn't have many ways to score the ball. He's a good 3-point shooter. I believe he shot over 40% from this year, his freshman season, I believe. But right now they have Ricky Rubio. I think Ricky Rubio is a good
gamer,
mentor. and veteran for Tyrese to learn under so that he can take over and him and Booker can be a good backcourt for Phoenix because they've struggled finding a point guard to keep there for more than a year. They've got guys like Tyler Ulis and oh my God, the list goes on.
Ty Jerome, Cam Johnson, the shooting guard position.
The list goes on, unfortunately, but he's a good spot.
Eli, close out the show, finish it up.
You know what? If I'm the closer here, I'm gonna have to act it out. So I'm gonna go through the thought process of the Suns GM right now. I don't know the person's name. I am sorry. Okay, so looking at the draft board here, I hear this is a pretty good point guard class. Oh wait, there's a point guard from Arizona. We play in Arizona. Nico Mannion is their pick.
Perfect.
I don't think he deserves to be a top 10 pick, but knowing the Suns, he's gonna go here.
Why not? And why not? Hey, DeAndre Ayton did the same thing. Am I going to do the same thing? Hell no. But that's all the time we have for the late night peel. It's been a long one, but it's been a fun one as per usual, especially when you get two new people on the show. For Eli Lesser, Cam Zier, Nick Zelaya, I'm Trey Redfield. Can't thank you guys enough for the support. Like, comment, subscribe. Do whatever you want to do. Listen to it on Spotify too. Maybe give that one a shot if you don't want to see our faces. But yeah, can't thank you guys enough. See y'all next week, and we will catch y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
All right.